Hello, welcome back to the SportFlex Podcast, episode 2 of The Journey. And I'm delighted to be joined by Hull City lady striker, Jen Randall. Thanks for coming on, Jen, and I hope you're good.
You're
How are
welcome.
you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Blessed. COVID's got us locked down, but, we've got to do what we've got to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Jen, how's lockdown been for you?
The first lockdown was a fairly odd time. I think for everybody, it was just a weird adjustment period of, not being able to go about your normal routine.
Yeah.
So I did find it quite difficult. In my job as well, I'm a personal trainer, so I wasn't able to go out and coach my clients,
Of
do
course.
anything face to face. So I did feel a little bit helpless, to be honest. But yeah, I kept myself busy. I kept, doing home workout routines. I was quite fortunate to have quite a lot of equipment that I bought.
Yeah.
So I really kept a routine doing the same as I would in the gym, and going for runs, going for walks. And then the second lockdown, the weather wasn't so good, and I think everybody's spirits were a little bit lower. But again, I got myself a part-time job in B&M, and kept myself busy because there's nothing worse than being bored, is there?
Of
And
course.
I'm a kind of person that needs to keep busy. I like to have things to do. I'm sure a lot of people do. So yeah, current situation is 2 jobs, struggling to and football as well. So it's it's a balance really. But I'm well, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, you're
So
healthy, you're good. Yeah, that's
yeah,
important.
exactly.
Hope your family's healthy as well. All that's good.
Yeah, we're all good our end. So yeah.
That's good too. So to take us back to when you first started playing football, how did you get into it? What was your background growing up?
Yeah. Well, as you can tell by my accent, I'm not from Yorkshire, and how
Yeah.
I came to play for Hull City is, a story really in itself. So I'm originally from London, really humble background from a suburban area of London called Romford,
Essex, yeah.
which, yeah, Essex, London, it's kind of that debate, isn't it? Which part, where does it actually stand? So yeah, I started playing football when I was about 6, and basically, when I was that young, there wasn't a lot of exposure to the women's game. It wasn't as big as it is now. You'd have to excuse my dog barking in the
That's all
background.
right, no worries.
Out of control. She's an absolute menace. I hope she'll stop in a minute. But anyway, yeah, when I was 6, there wasn't a lot of exposure. And women now, I think girls are quite lucky that, there's a women's football team near enough in every town that they can follow. And there's sort of women on Instagram and Twitter, big influencers. But when I was 6, so we're talking sort of 2003, 2004 time, there was really only Kelly Smith that was sort of, and
Yeah,
Alex Scott that were the standout female sports stars.
yeah, Arsenal.
So I'm going to be honest. I'll be honest with you, Brian. I was more into men's football because women's football just wasn't at that level yet. So I played with the boys, and then obviously you get to a certain age and you can't play with the boys. So I joined after school clubs when I was sort of 7 or 8. And my granddad was a real role model, real big inspiration in my life. And he said, "Don't worry, Jennifer. Always just call me Jennifer, never Jen. We'll find you a girls' team."
Yeah.
And so when I was 9, I joined Tigers under 9s, played for them until I was about 12 or 13, and then I moved to a team called Chigwell Girls. And then we sort of got to the county cup final. We played my old team, so it was a little bit of a rivalry. And then when I got to sort of 15, I had trials for Essex. So, I did play at quite a good level, but I was never, I was never at a massive level. And then unfortunately, when I was 15, my team folded. So there was just not there wasn't enough girls to keep the team running. And with exams and stuff, I never got round to signing for another team. And that's one of my big regrets, if I'm honest, because I took 3 years out of football, from 15 to 18, and I only started playing again and rediscovered my love for the game when I was 18 at university.
Okay.
So I do think to myself, if I hadn't taken those 3 years out, it's, between 15 and 18, such a crucial period in
100%.
development for footballers. I could have been at a much better level than what I am now.
Yeah. So just going back to like when you was 15, you had the break between 15 to
Mm.
18 and your team folded. Do you
Mhm.
think that it was because there was no real like progression for you? Could you see a place where you could play football for a different team? Or was it a fact that I'm 15 now? Was you
Mm.
encouraged by your parents to maybe think, football is a men's game, it's this and that, you
Mm.
can't really make it in football as a lady? Did you feel that sort of pressure?
Well, to be honest, my family were always really supportive of like me playing football. My mum and my granddad always used to come and watch my games. My granddad never missed a game. He used to rearrange his life like around my football. So I have a lot to thank him for. Bless him. All the the petrol. It's only now when you drive that you realise like
Yeah, of
how much
course.
money he would have spent traipsing me around London and Essex to take me to all these games. So yeah, they never discouraged me, but I think at 15 I kind of I was very into my music and I was in a band and we were rubbish, by the way, but I had other things going on in my life, so football kind of took a backseat, I guess. And I think it
Yeah.
was mainly down to myself that I said, oh, I'll look for another team, and I never did.
Mm,
And sort of other things came up, and it just sort of was something that it became something that I just used to do
yeah.
rather than something that I was doing in the moment. So yeah, it is a regret that I have, to be honest. But I think there was scope for progression. Like, I knew people that were still playing, that I was in college with. In fact, I played football with girls that went to America when they were like 17 and 18 on scholarship.
Wow.
So there
Yeah.
was like definitely progression. And I think, well, maybe I could have done that because we were all kind of the same level. But yeah, it wasn't to be. And I am, I'm grateful now that I'm playing football at a high level. And I'm grateful that my journey's kind of been quite complicated into it,
Yeah.
having that 3-year break. So I'm grateful, to be honest, that I'm able to compete at that level, despite having that sort of break. So yeah.
Yeah, that's quality. Yeah, to even make it like just going through your journey. This is the reason why I want this series to like inspire other girls, even guys
Mm,
as well, that you can still make it at a decent level,
yeah.
even though you go through difficulty. I was just gonna ask, like, so when you're at university, what got your new like born like effort in football? Like, what made you think, I want to play football again?
Well, I went to the Freshers' Fair, which was basically for the people that don't know, when you go to university, like, and you're a first year, you're a fresher. So they put on like an event stall for you, letting you know the lowdown on all the activities that you can do while you're at uni.
Yeah.
So I went to the Freshers' Fair, and everyone's trying to get you to join their society or sports team. So I must have got about 2,000 leaflets on that first day of all these clubs that I was never going to join. But really, I whittled it down to, I think, 2 or 3 societies, and it was football, tennis, and athletics. And they were 3 sports that I'd competed at a high level, because I'd done sort of regional, just below national, like athletics as well. And I'd
Yeah.
coached tennis and I'd played tennis from a young age. So it was always going to be between those 3. And I think my heart was just still with football. Like, I watched football. I'm a massive West Ham fan, unfortunately.
Local
Born
team.
into it. What can you do?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think my heart really just led me back to football, to be honest. And I think I went down to training. I was wearing my West Ham kit and I had this funny accent, but the girls were a lovely bunch of girls and they were really accepting. And I sort of was really shy in my first year of university, but the football team, like, they accepted anyone. It didn't matter, and at college there's cliques, and at school there's cliques, but at uni
Mm,
there isn't. And especially if you join a sports team, they
100%.
literally, they become almost like your little family. And it sounds cliched, but I suppose that's what it was, really. And I joined as like a shy 18-year-old, and I worked my way up. So first year I played a couple of games. I didn't take it too seriously. In my second year of uni, I became treasurer for the university team. So I looked after the money, I helped with sponsorship. So I had a little bit more of a role in the team.
Yeah.
And I played every game, and I think I got player of the season in my second year of uni, and I got top goal scorer. And then in my third year of uni, my final year, my friends encouraged me to go for captain. Like, why not? What have you got to lose? So I went for captain, and that, like, started really my journey to where I am now. Like, I went for captain, and they were my team. Like I made the team my own.
Yeah.
I planned the training session, helped hire the coaches that the same coaches as Hull City Ladies had. So that's how I was discovered. They watched video footage of me playing against the university team and scoring 2 goals, and me and another player got scouted and went down to City training. So I'm just grateful for the opportunity that the coaches gave me, and obviously the video analysis that was provided really gave me a pathway to the next level of football.
Yeah.
But yeah, like 3rd year of uni, I'll be honest, I wasn't enjoying my degree, and I think if it hadn't been for football, I would have dropped out of my course.
Yeah.
But the only reason I wasn't was because I was so invested in football, and every Wednesday playing a game, and then, you know, Thursday would come and we'd have 5-a-side, and then over the weekend I'd think about training on Monday and Tuesday and pick the team for Wednesday. So it was all like constantly what I was thinking about, and I enjoyed it. Like I loved it. And I think it was a massive part of me deciding to become a personal trainer as well, because I loved the idea of being part of a team and a network and a community and coaching people. So yeah, like the togetherness of it, the team spirit, like I love it.
That's great. Like, it's good to hear that, you know, at 3rd year uni, you still continue, became captain, you've done a lot of things. So when you're in 3rd year uni, how then do you get discovered by Hull City Ladies? And when you get there, did you feel any type of pressure? Is it like, wow, Hull City professional team? It's like, wow, I'm really doing well. Like, was you pressurized? Was you nervous?
Well, we basically, at uni in my 3rd year, we hired these coaches called Shane and Steve, and they also coached for Hull City Ladies, and they coached for the uni on different nights of the week.
Yeah.
So we played a game, I think it was against Leeds' 3rd team at uni, and we had the ability to watch the footage back, and it was a game where I actually played quite well. Like I scored 2 goals. I think I set up the 3rd goal as well. And that game, my 2 coaches at uni showed to the people at Hull City, like the backroom people, the analysis coaches or whatever. And they said, you know, get her down there. Like, she's decent. I imagine that's what they said. I don't know. But I don't think they would have said, you know, she's crap. So, you know, they obviously saw something that they liked. This was in October of 2018. So I had a little bit of a decision to make. And I thought to myself, playing for 2 teams at this moment in time is going to be really difficult.
Demanding.
Especially as a captain. If I go and play for Hull City Ladies and then I get injured training with them, that's going to impact my university season. And the thing was, in university, the first 2 seasons that I was there, we didn't take the team seriously. Like, we enjoyed playing football, but we didn't have a very good team, if I'm honest. And it was just a laugh, and we'd go out after on a Wednesday and have drinks, and that would be we'd mainly be a social team. But in my 3rd year, we actually got a really good group of players together, and we were in contention for winning the league. And we were we were in the bottom tier of the Bucks University League, so it was quite embarrassing on our part. Like, we wanted to get promoted for so long, and we finally had this opportunity to do so. And I didn't want anything to get in the way of that. So I made the decision to not join Hull City Ladies until I think March 2019. So after our season had finished and we'd won the league, we were unbeaten. It was great. So I did go down to City and feel like pressure, because I was playing, like, some of the girls that I play with have played football with players that have gone on to, like, Jess Park, who plays for Manchester City. Like, some of my friends know her. And I just, for me, that's mental, that they know this professional footballer, and there's just me from, university standard and, Sunday league background that's now playing with them. So it is really, humbling, and it teaches you to kind of stay grounded, really. And that, you know, I went down there and I was quite shy. I didn't really speak. But I think, you know, I've sort of come into my own, really. I'm vice captain now of the reserves. And they've sort of given that role to me quite quickly. Like, with COVID and everything that's happened, I've actually not spent a full season there yet. So as I said to you, I joined in March 2019. And I played the last 5 or 6 games of that season. Last season got voided. So it wasn't a full
Yeah.
season. And then obviously this season isn't a full season. So I've had 3 seasons there, but I haven't actually played a full season yet,
Yeah.
which is crazy. But yeah, like I'm really enjoying it. It was obviously a different standard, and I'm still quite humbled and overwhelmed to be playing with like such amazing footballers.
Yeah.
But you know, I am enjoying it. I'm finding my feet, I think, and getting more and more confident like playing football. So it's promising.
That's good. Do you think you've adapted to the transition from Sunday league to then county level to university to now, I say professional level at Hull City? Have you found it difficult, or have you just settled in perfectly?
I wouldn't say I've settled in perfectly. Like, I'm very critical of myself. I do think that, you know, I have a lot to work on. Particularly, I think if my manager does watch this back, he'll agree that I need to work on my offsides, I think, and timing those runs a little better.
Yeah.
But I think I have the right attitude. I try to stay grounded and humble. And at the end of the day, the message that I would send to anybody, like any aspiring player, is, you know, it's this little expression really, is that hard work and talent are basically like mutually exclusive, and hard work will
Yeah.
beat talent if talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah.
So like I've played football, as you've said, at numerous levels, and each of those levels I've come across really talented individuals, but they haven't got the right attitude and they haven't got the right work ethic.
Yeah.
So they're not going to progress, unfortunately. But I think if you've got the right attitude, you know, and you put the work in and you do like gym in your spare time, and you're going out, you're getting the miles in the legs running, and you go into your local pitch and doing sprints, stuff like that, like in lockdown, when everything was out of your control, like that's one thing that you can control is your attitude to
Yeah.
things. And
100%.
that is something that I pride myself on, is that I do try to always have a good attitude, and, you know, to stay grounded and always learning. Like, I play with footballers that are better than me. You know, I'd say probably at least 60% of them are better than me, but I never see that as a competition, because I try and learn from it and
Yeah.
make myself better, because I'm surrounded by people that are pushing me to do better, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So how was it mentally? So during the lockdown, and how frustrating is it given that you haven't played your full season? You've been there for almost 3 seasons, you say, but you've only played about half a season. How frustrating
Yeah.
is it given that there was COVID? You joined quite late because you didn't want to leave a uni team. Like, how has it been like settling in? Are the girls still like? Is it easy to settle in that you haven't played as many matches? Is chemistry difficult?
I would say I can really only comment on the reserves, because yeah, I haven't really played for the first team as of yet. Um, but I think the reserves have got a lot of girls that are quite young and inexperienced, and I think that's partly why Dan, my manager, has sort of given me a leadership role within the reserves, because
Yeah.
I am 23, so I'm a little bit older than most of them, and I'm a little bit worldly. So I think they kind of look to me as somebody that like can motivate, you know, with my job as well. So if the girls have found it difficult in lockdown, we've got group chats kind of thing with a lot of the
Yeah.
girls, and I've become really close friends with some of the girls. Like, I've become clients, so like at the gym, like I help them train, and like we'll do fitness, and I've been for runs with a few of them. So, like during lockdown, helping them like with their physical and mental health as well, like meeting up with them
Yes.
for runs, or meeting up with them to like do like boxing outdoors, or like a circuit. So yeah, I put on a few like boot camps in the first lockdown, and a few of the players came to that. So yeah, I've really tried to do all I can to help people tick over, like offer programs and stuff. But in terms of chemistry, I think obviously it has affected, like not playing consistently is going to, and not training consistently as well,
Yeah. Of
is
course.
going to have an impact on how we play. I think as well as that, the reserves have quite a high turnover of players. So when you think about how young they are, 16, 17, 18, they go off to uni or they go off to college. So every year we do get like 3 or 4 players that leave, and then 3 or 4 different players that come in. So it is hard to find out how new players play and stuff like that. Um, But, you know, this season has been interrupted. We haven't done as well as we would have liked. I think we've only won one game thus far, but in all fairness, I think we've only played 5 games. So
very early.
there's still a lot to come. And they're a very promising bunch of girls. But I think they just need a little bit more confidence, really, and to talk on the pitch. And I hope that is what, you know, I try to provide. And certainly our captain, Abby, tries to provide, is like getting them to be more confident in themselves and getting them to communicate more. But I think it's a process. And I think, as I say, hopefully when things settle down and the more football we can play, the more that can change. So
yeah. Also, how do you balance, because it seems like you're very invested in like the ladies team, how do you balance that along with PT and your job at B&M? Like, how do you
I
balance
don't
it out?
sleep at all, Brian, if I'm honest. I literally get about 4 hours if I'm lucky a night. So like I work at B&M until midnight.
Wow.
And then I'm in the gym in the morning at 7, and I have like clients, like, and then I'll train myself, and then it's about midday. So being a PT is quite advantageous because you do like get like almost split shifts. So you'll be there in the morning early, and then in the afternoon, like from 12 onwards, you can go home, nap for a few hours, and then you're back in sort of from 4:30, 5 o'clock time until about 8. So you've got that window during the day where you can try and sleep. Admittedly, I don't, but that might be something that I have to consider. And then, you know, evenings, like sometimes I'm in B&M from 8 till 12. Sometimes I'm in from 6 till 12. It depends on evening clients. And then obviously 2 evenings a week, I have to factor in football training, which is currently Mondays and Wednesdays. So literally I have clients 5 till 6, 6 till 7. And then I get to training for about 7:45, and it's like from 7:45 till 9 o'clock on Mondays and Wednesdays. So yeah, I do live a very, very hectic life. I don't have a lot of time to do much else other than work and play football.
Okay. And also I've got a question, like, do you feel as if the FA, the authorities are doing enough to encourage more girls' participation within football and also within sport as well? Do you think more can be done, or what other opportunities are there available for girls?
Well, as I said at the beginning, I think now there's a lot more opportunities for women than there were, which is obviously a massive step in the right direction. When I was young, there was really only 1 or 2 standout women's players that, you know, you'd think of. Now, I think there are a lot more girls, really on a match day, like when the reserves don't have a game, we go and watch the first team, and they've got little mascots that they walk out with, and it's so like nice and endearing to see that there's these young girls and they look at us and we're their role models, which is kind of crazy because when I was young, I didn't have that. You know, I didn't have a local team that I could go and support, like my local women's team. I would have loved it if I did. But it just sadly wasn't the case. So yeah, I do think there's a lot more. I do think there's still a long way to go.
100%,
and I'm not entirely sure, if I'm honest, if women's football is ever going to be on equal status as men's. I just think men's brings in too much money. And like, you look at the men's game, like there's transfer records being broken every week because like Harry Maguire being sold for 80 million just does not sit right with me. I'm going to be honest. So honestly. Like it just, I think it's got to a point in men's football where money is now meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. When I was young, I remember the transfer records being broken like were amazing because they didn't happen often. Like Ronaldo going to Real Madrid for 80 million was, and now Harry Maguire's being sold for 80 million. Like they're not the same, you know. So it's absolutely mental. I don't think the women's game sadly will ever reach, but I don't think it needs to, because I think the men's game is really over the top, like money wise, and it's, you know, it's all about the agents now making money. But I think the women's game, you've now got women's teams playing in the men's stadium. So last season, our first team travelled to the Bet365 stadium and played Stoke City Ladies there. They played in the men's stadium. So these opportunities are being created for women's teams now that weren't there 5 years ago, that definitely weren't there 10 years ago. And you've got, you know, Tottenham women playing at White Hart Lane. You've got West Ham women playing games at Olympic Park. You've got the Women's Cup final now being held at Wembley. So there is a much more level playing field now, I think, more so than ever.
Yeah. And also, are you happy with the progression of the women's league? Because when I was growing up, it was always Arsenal ladies winning everything.
Yeah.
And now we see
Hmm.
Man United are doing great this season, top of the league, Man City,
Yeah.
Chelsea ladies. Like, are you happy with the
Yeah.
progression we're seeing in women's football, how competitive it's going to be now?
Yeah, well, I think a couple of years ago, I think it might have been last year, West Ham ladies got to the final of the FA Cup and played Man City women. And, you know, it was nice to see, like, obviously I'm a massive West Ham fan and I follow the men's, but it was nice to see the women, like, there at the final. So yeah, definitely, like, even like Reading women, like, have done well. Like, they've produced, you know, a few players, like Farrah Williams has played for Reading. So they're not necessarily like cardboard copies of the men's team. Like, Chelsea women are good and Chelsea men are good. You know, Liverpool women are good, Liverpool men are good. But like teams like Reading, you know, the men's team aren't necessarily a big team,
Yeah.
but you know, the women's team in their own right are good. So I think that's quite encouraging. And you know, there's, like, you look at it now, we're in the third tier of women's football, but there's lots of tiers underneath us. And there's lots of teams like Doncaster Rovers, Bells, that used to be a really good team that have dropped down a little bit now, but,
Yeah.
you know, they could get back to the level that they were at. So there's a lot of teams coming forwards, you know, that could be competing for those top two, top three leagues in years to come.
Yeah, that's true. And in the future, do you see like women being the manager of like the men's team? And what's your views on, for example, male managers like being women's managers? Is that an issue to you? Do you think women should be given more opportunity? So we see Phil Neville as manager of England
Yeah.
women. You feel like a women should be first priority in those sort of jobs?
I think at the end of the day, I think whoever's going to do the best job should get the job. So I don't think it should matter if you're a woman or a man or an elephant. You know, like, it shouldn't matter who you are. If you can do the job better than candidate B, then candidate A should get the job. So if candidate A happens to be a woman, then, you know, why shouldn't a woman do it? But conversely, if a man's, you know, the better man for the job, then, you know, the man should do it. I think men managing in the women's leagues is perfectly fine, and I would love to see women one day managing in the men's league. I see no reason why they couldn't. I
Yeah.
think women sometimes have got actually like a more organized brain. That probably sounds really sexist, but I think, you know, a lot of women become mums, so they have to multitask a lot and think about different things all the time. So they have to think about, I don't know, picking the kids up from school and then going to pick up this and then going to pick up that and then doing this and doing that. So, like, myself personally, I'm always on the go. So I've always got about 10 different things going on in my head. But I feel like that's why women make good managers, because they have that ability to sort of compartmentalize their lives and sort of organize their lives quite efficiently. So yeah, it's definitely something that I would like to see in the future. I'd like to see a woman win the league with a male team. Like, I think that would be great.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, I'm kind of getting in the right direction. You know, we're
Yeah,
seeing women like referees the other day. The Juventus match with Dynamo Kiev was a woman referee.
yeah,
You got Sean
and
Massey.
linesmen as well. Like, women linesmen have been about for quite a long time now. So
Yeah,
I just think it's baby steps, really, but it's definitely steps in the right direction.
100%. And also, let's talk about England women's team. Who
Mm.
performed better than the men's team if we talk international competition? I know England men's got to the World Cup semi-finals, but the England women's team
Yeah,
got to I think the semi-finals in 2015 and the semi-finals again. Where
yeah.
do you see?
USA beat us, didn't they? So
Yeah, last year, Steph Houghton
yeah.
penalty still.
Mm.
So, like, what's your views on the England women's team? Do you think that we can get the next step of like becoming the world champion or winning the Euros, which is in 2022 now?
Yeah, I think they've got like a good team. Like, I am a massive fan of Alex Greenwood. I think she's a great player. And I really like Beth England as well, and Georgia Stanway, like these players that are coming through.
Yeah,
And as I mentioned earlier, like, I think Jess Park, like, if she can make it, then I think they've got a good future spine, really. You've got some players coming towards the end of their career now, or sort of the peak of their career, like Lucy Bronze and Steph Houghton. Like, they're kind of in their late 20s now. So by the time 2022 rolls around, they'll be what, like 29, 30 sort of age. So they'll be in their sort of
yeah,
prime. Um, So yeah, I see no reason why we can't challenge. I know USA are always sort of going to be
Favorite.
there or thereabouts because they've, I think the issue is that in America, more girls play football at college than boys.
No,
So I
100%.
think that's why they've got such an amazing, talented like women's team
Yeah.
because there's lots of English girls, and I personally know some of them that go out to America to get a scholarship because it's so much more, what's the word, like accessible over there for women to
Yeah.
play football. And I think until that level has really been achieved here and that opportunity is here, we'll always be a little bit behind. But
Yeah.
I think we're definitely in with a shout for 2022. I think we've got really good young players coming through, and it would be really nice if, again, like, why not? Why some of the players that I play with, maybe they could make it one day. Like that would be amazing.
Even yourself, like, what's your, yeah, you.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
So what's like your ambitions for the future? Do you still plan on playing for how the ladies? Do you plan on doing PT full time? Maybe. What's
Mhm.
your future ambitions and goals?
Well, I am currently a full-time PT. So obviously we don't get paid to play football for the time being. Again, that
Yeah.
is like a future development that could happen if women's football continues to get the exposure that it gets. We currently get sponsorships. So I'm sponsored by Rob Turner, who's like a massage therapist. So we get sponsors for the season that helps cover the cost of our transport and helps cover the cost of, our kit and our training kit and our match day kit. So that's good. But yeah, in terms of future, I just want to keep playing for Hull City Ladies really, and hopefully maybe break into the first team one day. Some of the first team are getting older now, so again, like with the English team, the women's team, there's that progression for the younger players to come through,
Yeah.
and mainly to keep myself fit. It's my job, so I have to keep myself fit, but I also want to keep myself fit, to be in great shape for football and to last 90 minutes and to, run about on the pitch and keep myself, because you never know, in that 89th minute, you might need to make a 100-yard sprint across the pitch and
Yeah.
you 1-0 up to shield the ball at your corner flag to stop it from being 1-1. So you need to make sure that your body's primed and always ready to go. So, just keep looking after myself. And yeah, like I want to keep playing with Hull City, and I want to become like a player that, like, you think of Hull City and you think of like Jen, because she's been there for so long. So like that's kind of what I would like to achieve. As long as they'll have me, I'm happy to play football for them.
That's quality. And also, do you see yourself becoming a coach? Because you spoke before how, you'd speak to the youngers, 16, 17, 18-year-olds. Can you see yourself becoming a coach? And you're a PT as well. I mean, that's basically coaching itself.
It
Could you see
is, yeah.
yourself? Yeah.
Well, it's very different, obviously. A goal and ambition of mine is to do my coaching badges. I would like to do them because there's kind of a lot of carryover with PTing. So with my PT course, you get qualified in strength and conditioning. Obviously, you're qualified to personal train. You're qualified to deliver an element of rehab. So, but it's more general because you have to learn so much. What you learn isn't as detailed. Whereas if you go into more specific courses like coaching, you learn a lot more specific content. So that is something that I would like to go into. And yeah, I think I want to play until I can't play anymore, basically, until my legs give out. But,
Mhm.
when I can't play, I would like to get into coaching. And even if it's possible to balance two jobs and playing football with coaching as well, I would like to try and find the time to maybe start coaching sooner and start coaching alongside playing.
Okay, that's interesting. That's good. Now, let's speak about your beloved West Ham. So tell us how you got involved with West Ham. Who were your heroes growing up?
The reason I got involved with West Ham is obviously they were my local and closest team in relation to where I grew up. And my nan and my granddad sort of met and had family. So my nan's family used to run the bar at Upton Park,
Oh,
and
okay.
my granddad and his family used to run the bar at Upton Park. So I think their families knew each other as far as I'm aware. And every Saturday, my granddad used to do stewarding there, and my nan used to be in the bar. So it'd be a family outing. My nan and granddad would take my mum and my uncle to Upton Park and dangle my mum over the sidelines, and she'd touch all the foot. So she touched, I think, George Best's arm one game, going back a few years, in the
Yeah.
70s or 80s. She touched George Best's arm when he was taking a throw in, because my granddad used to get seats right at the front. And then at half time, they'd go see my nan in the bar. So, yeah, growing up, I loved, and I still love, Mark Noble. Like, I think he epitomises sort of loyalty. Like, he's been at that club since he was 8 years old, I think, something like that. And, you know, to live the dream of playing for your boyhood club must be like an amazing feeling. And I think he's been such a great servant to our club. He's got a lot of critics on Twitter recently about his performances and stuff, and he slows the game down. And he's 33, like he's going to slow the game down. But I think for me, there will always be a place, even if there's not a place in the starting 11 for him, there's always going to be space in my heart for Mark Noble. Like he's just such a nice lad as well, like the way he comes across in interviews. So definitely for him, for me growing up, Mark Noble was a real hero. I loved Dean Ashton. And one of my fondest memories of West Ham was when they got to the FA Cup final in 2006.
Gerrard.
And don't, honestly, like West Ham never win anything. So for them to get to a final, I think from the April when they got to the semi-final until the May, for about 3 weeks, I slept in the same West Ham pyjamas. I just refused to take them off because I was so excited. I genuinely thought they were going to win. Like, they were the better side in that game.
Yeah.
They should have won. And I remember watching it, and like we were 3, I think we was
3-1 up.
3-2 up, something like that. And it said there will be 3 minutes of stoppage time. And as soon as he said that, the commentator, Gerrard smacked one in the top corner.
Yeah.
And then it was 3-3. And I knew, classic West Ham from that point, that we were going to lose the game. And then we lost pens. So yeah, it was just heartbreaking to recall it. But yeah, that's probably my fondest memory of West Ham. And the playoff final as well, when they went down.
Yeah,
I had shed a tear when they went down, but then they bounced straight back up with Sam Allardyce and Kevin Nolan leading the team. And I went to that playoff final game against Blackpool, and it was a great atmosphere. And again, Ricardo Vazte coming through with the last minute goal. Great times. So yeah, West Ham are frustrating to support, but you know, I wouldn't support another team.
Yeah.
So
talk about the last season at the Bowling. Like, how does it feel? Like, are you one of them people like wish you never moved?
Definitely, yes. Like the Upton Park for me, I've actually played on the pitch. So we had, when I played for Tigers when I was 11, there was like a tournament on that pitch organised by West Ham Girls, so the under 11s girls team. And we played on the pitch. My granddad drove us to West Ham. We couldn't get parked anywhere because obviously it's a nightmare around those parts. And we played on Upton Park pitch, so it's always going to hold special memories for me. And when it was announced that we were moving, I just wanted Tottenham to take the Olympic Stadium, or Leyton Orient, or any other London team, because I didn't want us to leave Upton Park. If you've not been to experience it, you can't really describe how much of a special place it is. It's, you know, it's not even one of the biggest stadiums. It was only probably, I think, about 40,000 capacity. But you go there, and you know, other teams like Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool would go to Upton Park and actually be intimidated because they weren't sure if they were going to come away with a result. And half the time, that weren't because of West Ham, it was because of the fans. Because the atmosphere in that stadium is probably, I reckon, second only to probably Liverpool, like probably was the best in the Premier League.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like it was a proper family. And like I say, I've got family connections to West Ham. A lot of people did as well. It was a family-run club, and Upton Park was like a family feel. And I think this new stadium just has taken that away. And it's sort of very, very. First of all, like the Olympic Stadium is so far away. Like anyone that was on the front row at Upton Park is now probably the equivalent of like 6 or 7 rows back, because there's a massive running track in the way. I think, yeah, I do regret us leaving Upton Park. I tried to get tickets to go to the last ever game, but obviously they were being sold for like thousands of pounds. So I watched it on TV. I got fish and chips, mushy peas, like proper East End dinner, and watched it on the telly, and that had to do, sadly. But I did have a little cry when And we had to win that last game, didn't we? That 3-2 against Man United. Like, we had to go out on a high. But we made hard work for ourselves, as we always do. But yeah, like, to win it 3-2 was just bittersweet, really. And then for all the legends to come on after the game, and to pay tribute to like Bobby Moore and all the legends that are sadly like no longer with us was just really emotional to watch as a fan, as someone that supported them since I was as long as I can remember.
Yeah. So what's your hopes for West Ham this season? Because you're having a decent season under David Moyes, doing well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sold on Moyes. Like, I am. He's probably his biggest critic. I think West Ham are probably the only team in the Premier League that could sack a manager and then get him back in 2 years. Like, you know, it's such a West Ham thing to do. But in all fairness to him, he has done well this season. And I do think we've got a good team. We just constantly underperform. But one thing I've noticed this season is that we're actually grinding out results, which we would normally squander. So, for example, we tend to do quite well against big teams. So we show up against teams like Man United and Arsenal and Tottenham. Like, we always show up against them and we'll beat them like 2-1. And then the next week we'll lose 3-0 to Brighton, or we'll lose 3-0 to Sheffield United. But a couple of weeks ago, we beat Sheffield United, I think, 1-0. And like, we beat Leeds the other day. And these are normally games that we would like just roll over and lose, but we're actually winning them now. So I think for West Ham, a top half finish this season would be, for any fan, we'd definitely take that. Like, I'm not optimistic enough to think let's aim for Europe, because I know there's teams like Everton, Wolves, Leicester that, you know, are better teams with better squads. But I think to maybe finish 10th would be like an amazing achievement, considering last season we were like doomed really until the restart, until Antonio came out of his hiding place and started banging in all the goals. So I
mean West Ham, you can do well this season and it will be a good end to the season. Like, the league is just crazy at the moment. Looking at Arsenal, could get relegated and things like that.
I know, it's mad.
So yes. But
in all fairness to Arsenal, I hope they don't get relegated, because as much as I don't like Arsenal, they've never been relegated from the Premier League, and they have got history. Like, they're the only team that have gone a full season without, like, the Invincibles that never lost a game in a whole season. So they are a team with a lot of history. So there is a part of me that hopes they manage to pull themselves out of this. But the other half of me laughs every day at how badly that they're doing. So
I think if Arsenal go down, that would, I mean, I don't want to think about it.
I mean, Leicester won the league, didn't they? So anything's possible. If Leicester can win the league, Arsenal can get relegated.
That's a perfect logic. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think whatever happens, I think Sheffield United are definitely going down. So
100%.
I think they've been sussed out this season with their overlapping like centre back. It worked last season; it was a novelty, but I think this season teams have sussed it out. They've watched their footage, they've done their own work, and I think they're in trouble. Unless they can sign some players in January, I think they're in trouble.
I think they have to sack Wilder. I think just get someone experienced in.
Yeah.
I think that's the way forward for them. But just going to end on a couple of listeners' questions.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, what's the most important trait for you for being a footballer?
Good attitude. I think, like I say, you might not be the best footballer, but if you've got that determination to be better every day, you're going to get further than someone that doesn't have that attitude. So definitely, have a good attitude towards playing and always try and be positive.
If you weren't a footballer, what would you see yourself doing? So I know you do other things as well, but like if
I didn't play football, I'd probably have gone into one of the other two sports I mentioned. So I'd probably be playing tennis, or I think I'd probably be doing athletics. I used to do 8 and 1500 meter running, and I was smashing PBs when I was 13, 14 with that. Doing long jump as well, like relays, hurdles, bit of everything. Like, I love Jessica Ennis. She was a massive role model. So I just used to want to be like her. So I think I probably would have gone into athletics. I had to make a choice and I chose football. But that would have probably been what I would have done.
What's your proudest moment of being like a footballer? It's through your whole journey. What's the moment where you're like, wow, I'm really proud of myself?
Interesting. I think just my journey really of coming from sort of humble beginnings of like Sunday league, and then playing county level and then uni level, and then playing where I am now. Like, I'm grateful every day to be playing at the level that I'm playing at, because, you know, there's some people that don't get that opportunity. Don't get me wrong, at uni, I was really proud of taking my team from like bottom of the league to unbeaten for a whole season. We used to get absolutely annihilated at varsity, which is when whole uni played Lincoln Uni. Every
Yeah.
year I played, we'd lose like 10-0. In our third year, we drew 3-3. Like, we gave them a good game and we didn't lose. So yeah, I think captaining the uni team to the Bucks title and then going unbeaten was definitely up there as a proud moment. But I just think overall, my development and my attitude, I'm quite proud of. Like, I always want to be better.
Yeah.
And in everything I do, like as a PT, I want to be a better PT. I want to be a better footballer. I want to get into coaching. There's so many things that I want to do,
Yeah.
and I see no reason why I can't do them. In terms of on the pitch, I think scoring a header against Leeds to win 3-2 was probably my proudest moment. It was a game I didn't start, because some of the first team players came in to get minutes. So I got benched, and then they brought me on at half time and said, like, make an impact. So I made an impact and scored a
Yeah.
header. And as soon as it left my head, I was like, that's going in that. I mean, people take the mick out of my massive forehead anyway. So it was kind of nice to put it to good use, and do something with it. And we won that game 3-2. So I loved being a part of that. So yeah, there's a few moments that I'm really proud of. But yeah, I think just overall, still playing football at my age when a lot of girls have given up by now,
Yeah.
and like trying to be better every day and just keep going. So yeah.
Yeah. Have you had any like major setbacks or challenges? What's the biggest challenge you faced during your like journey?
I definitely think those 3 years I didn't play, because I'll always, in the back of my head, I'll always think, what if I had carried on playing and I'd been sort of taken on maybe by West Ham ladies,
Yeah.
or I'd been taken on by, I don't know, Millwall Lionesses, what my journey might have led to and what the outcome might have been. And I do think, you know, if that had have happened, I might not have been playing for Hull City Ladies now. And I am a big believer of fate, like everything happens for a reason.
Hmm.
But I think, yeah, that was a big setback, taking those 3 years of not playing, between 15 and 18. Like I said, it's a really critical age. We've got some 16-year-olds playing for Hull City now who are only going to get better. And these next 2 years are absolutely crucial to their development. And if they do really well, they're going to get signed by big clubs, you know, like Man United, or, you know, whoever's like big up here, Liverpool, like all the northern teams, or they might relocate and go and play for Arsenal or Man City Women. So it is like a really important time between those ages. So yeah, I think that was definitely a big setback.
Yeah. Just an additional question: do you have to relocate to Hull, or do you just stay in?
No. So I moved to Hull. I've been living up here since I was 18. So I came to uni up here, and my mum moved, from London to Hull. So I was always going to go to Hull Uni because I could live at home.
Oh, okay.
And to be fair, I got through my first year of uni, and I think that was the most frequently asked question was, how are you from London if you live in Hull and you commute, and, you know, you don't live in halls, you live at home, but your
Yeah.
home's in London. So I had to strip it down and basically explain it. But my mum moved to London, moved from London to Hull, and then I just live with her now. So I go to visit my family in London, but in terms of where I am now, like, I'm settled here. I don't see myself returning to London.
Okay.
It's too
And
expensive as well, so
oh, very
it's
expensive.
ridiculous.
Made the right choice.
Yeah.
And also, do you have any final advice for any young girls coming up in the game, any young boys, any words of motivation for people, you know, finding it hard, going through challenges?
Yeah. I would definitely say, like I've said to you, like, hard work always beats talent. Like,
Mm.
if that talent doesn't work hard. So that's a motto I've always tried to live by, and that's what my granddad always used to tell me. So that's what I would pass on to anyone, any aspiring and any up and coming footballers, is to always learn and never be afraid to ask questions. There's no such thing as a silly question.
Hmm.
And always try to just focus on you. Like, don't think I've got to be better than that person next to me. Think, they're at a different level to me, and I might be there one day. And conversely, once you get to that level, always stay humble and don't look down at people that are now where you once were, because everybody starts from somewhere, you know. So I think, yeah, that's a massive thing, is to always work hard, always ask questions, and always remember where you came from. Like, I've come from near enough a council estate in London, and I've made a good life for myself, but I'm humble about it. I've worked hard to do it. So, and I do work hard, like with everything that I do. So if you work hard and you're determined in life, then you'll get the results that you deserve.
Yeah. And I think that's a perfect way to end it. Thank you, Jen, for
Thanks.
coming on
You're
and
welcome.
speaking. Thank you for your story. It's a really intriguing journey, and it's encouragement to everyone that's watching that you can make it and continue to work hard. So, Jen,
Yeah.
thanks for coming on. All the best for
No,
the
you're
rest of the
welcome.
season. And I hope that all your goals that you plan to have, you achieve them.
Thank you very much.
All right. See you later.
Thanks, Brian. Take care.